All right, thank you guys. Really big slate of NBA action here today, so let's go ahead and try to quickly dive into it. Now, real quick, if you end up enjoying this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up by hitting that like button. If you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please feel free to do that right now as well. I greatly appreciate it. All right, enough with the pleasantries. Let's go ahead and get into the content here. The Pacers are taking on the Hornets, 7 p.m. Eastern start time in Charlotte. Now, the Hornets are -2 with the total at 218.5. This game was actually off the board right before, actually for the entire morning, and then right before we came on the air, I guess you would say here, we did see some lines for that. So once again, the Hornets are -2 with the total at 218.5. Now, real quick, guys, did you know that we're 2-0 in our last two daily best plays on patreon.com/Brock page? We're also 4-1 in our last 5 daily best plays on that Patreon site in that same category as well. And if you want to access today's daily best play, it's only going to cost you just $1.99 when you click the link in the description section below. Now, we currently have a community of over 1,150 paid members who are signed up and active on that site. And if you want to join those folks and get in on the action, link for that site is in the description section below. And once again, that's patreon.com/Brock page. Now, guys, the Hornets are just 1-5 straight up in their last 6 ball games. They're in the bottom 5 in the NBA in home scoring. They also rank in the bottom 5 in shooting the 3-ball in that same category. The Hornets are scoring just 104 points a game at the Spectrum Center, and they lost 4 out of their 7 contests at the Spectrum Center this season. Now, they're taking on a Pacers team who's 4-2 straight up on the road this season, and they average 114 points per contest. Malcolm Brogdon scoring 23 points a game along with 4 rebounds and 7 assists. The starting point guard is also getting 2 steals a night defensively. Meanwhile, Domantas Sabonis is scoring over 20 a night himself along with 12 boards and 6 assists. Do keep an eye on Sabonis. A couple different websites have him listed as questionable. So if you're looking to fire on this game, just kind of stay posted with the status of Sabonis here. But anyway, total-wise, Charlotte 6-1 to the under on their home court. 10-7 to the under overall for the season. I'm going to lean toward the Indiana Pacers +2 and the under 218.5. Before we go ahead and move on here, guys, just want to take another quick timeout and welcome you to the video. Got some lines of personal leans out for Wednesday's NBA basketball action. Happy Wednesday to you. It is officially hump day, guys, and the weekend is right around the corner. Congratulations, you've made it halfway through the week, and Friday is calling your name. It's right around the corner here. Now, before we go ahead and dive into some more free content on YouTube here, I just have to quickly remind you, once again, we're 2-0 in our last 2 daily best plays on patreon.com/Brock page. We also went 4-1 in our last 5 daily best plays in that same category. You can actually unlock today's daily best play for just $1.99 when you click the link in the description section below. Just remember, guys, when you sign up for a membership on Patreon, you get access to all the lesser expensive memberships absolutely free. So once again, when you sign up for one of my memberships on Patreon, you're going to instantly get access to all the lesser expensive tiers absolutely free. The cheaper memberships are going to be included with your purchase. And for those who are wondering what the difference is between my Patreon site and my free picks here on YouTube, that's certainly a great thought, a great concern. If I were you, I'd probably be thinking the same thing myself. So what I do on Patreon is I make life a lot easier for you as I break down the daily card and focus in on typically just 4 to 5 premium selections per day. They're my personal plays, games that I personally have action on. And I'll tell you this much, I'm having a lot more success betting on games that way in smaller sample sizes versus firing on every single game on the slate side in total like I do here with my free leans on YouTube. So basically on Patreon, at all these games I break down on YouTube, you actually get to find out which games I have my hard-earned money on. Now, guys, we currently have a community of over 1,150 paid members who are signed up and active on that site. And if you want to join those folks and get in on the action, link for that site is in the description section below. And once again, that's patreon.com/Brock page. And we got to move here, guys. Once again, enough with the pleasantries. We got a lot of content to get through. So next matchup, Pistons versus the Cavaliers. 7 p.m. Eastern start time in Cleveland. Now, the Cavs are the 3-point favorite at home here. Totals 215 flat. Now, the Cavs successfully covered the point spread in 4 out of their last 5. And they find themselves officially 6-3 against the spread on their home court this season. They're in the top 10 in the NBA defensively in points allowed, top 5 in home defensive rebounding. Colin Sexton is scoring 25 points a game along with 3 boards and 4 assists. Meanwhile, Andre Drummond's grabbing 15 rebounds a night himself along with 19 points and 3 assists. The Cavaliers are also in the top 10 in home offensive field goal percentage. Now they're taking on a Detroit squad who lost 4 out of their last 5, and they find themselves just 1-6 straight up on the road this season. The Pistons are dead last in offensive field goal percentage, and they also rank in the bottom 3 in offensive rebounding on the road. It does look like Blake Griffin's out for the Pistons this evening. I don't really know if that's a huge loss for them or not anyway, but when it comes to the total on this one, Detroit saw their last 2 straight get over the posted number, 5-1 at the over in their last 6. They also saw 86% of their road games get over the line this season as well. Meanwhile, the Cavaliers went 8-2 to the over in their last 10 meetings with Detroit. I'm going to lean toward the Cleveland Cavs -3 and the over 215. All right, next contest I have for you. It is going to be Kings versus the Magic. 7 p.m. Eastern tip-off in Orlando. 2 teams not playing very good basketball as of late. But anyway, the Magic, they are -1 at home with the total at 221 flat. Now, as bad as they've been, Orlando's actually successfully covered the point spread in 2 out of their last 3 ball games, and they still rank in the top 5 in the NBA in home offensive rebounding. The Magic also allows just 105 points a night at the Amway Center. Nick Vucevic. Nick Vucevic. He's scoring 24 points a game along with 11 boards and 4 assists. Meanwhile, Evan Fournier is scoring over 18 a night himself along with a couple of rebounds and 4 assists himself. Now they're taking on a Sacramento team who's just 1-4 straight up in their last 5, and they failed to cover the point spread in 8 out of their last 10 ball games. Matter of fact, Sacramento is just 6-10 against the number overall for the season, and they rank dead last in defensive field goal percentage. The Kings are also allowing over 121 points a night, and they're letting their opponents make 40% of their three-pointers against them. Now Ramsey and Jeffries are still out. Hassan Whiteside is questionable. When it comes to the total on this one, Sacramento saw their last 2 straight stay under the line, 7-3 to the under in their last 10 meetings with Orlando. Meanwhile, the Magic's currently 75% to the under on their home court this season. I'm going to lean toward the Orlando Magic -1 and the under 221. All right, next contest, it is going to be Bucks versus the Raptors. 7:30 p.m. Eastern start time in Tampa. Milwaukee's -6.5 with the total at 223 and a hook. Now, Milwaukee's failed to cover in 4 out of their last 5. They're actually just 2-5 against the spread on the road this season. And the Bucks are allowing over 113 points a game when they travel. And they're letting their opponents make 42% of their 3 balls in that same category. They're taking on a Toronto team who's won 5 out of their last 7 ball games. And they rank in the top 10 in shooting the 3 ball. And despite their early season struggles here, the Raptors are still 5-3 straight up on their home court, and they hold their opponents to just 103 points per contest in that same category. Now, Freddie VanVleet scoring nearly 20 points a night along with 5 boards and 6 assists for the Raptors. The starting guard is also averaging 2 steals a night defensively. Meanwhile, Kyle Lowry is also scoring 18 points a game himself, along with 6 rebounds and 7 assists. Keep an eye on Pascal Siakam, as he's been listed as questionable. Now, total-wise, 4 out of Toronto's last 5 stayed under the line. They're also 5-3 to the under as the home team. Meanwhile, the Bucks saw 5 out of their last 7 stay under the total themselves. 70% to the under in their last 10 meetings with Toronto. I'm going to lean toward the underdog Toronto Raptors +6.5 and the under 223 and a hook. All right, next matchup, it is going to be Nets versus the Hawks. 7:30 p.m. Eastern tip-off in Atlanta. Now, the Brooklyn Nets are -7.5 on the road here. Totals 236 and a hook. Brooklyn's just 1-3 against the spread in their last 4. 2-4 straight up on the road this season. The Nets allow nearly 117 points a night when they travel. And they also rank in the bottom 10 in offensive rebounding on the road. They're taking on an Atlanta squad who's won 4 out of their last 5 themselves. They also went 4-1 against the number in those 5 contests. Atlanta's in the top 3 in offensive rebounding, top 3 in defensive field goal percentage. Trae Young scoring over 26 points a game along with 4 boards and 9 assists. Meanwhile, DeAndre Hunter's also scoring 18 points a night along with 6 rebounds and a couple assists himself. The Hawks currently lead the NBA in home offensive rebounding as well as... Let's try that again. The Hawks also lead the NBA in home offensive rebounding as well as leading the association in defending the 3-ball at home. They're giving up just 105 points a game at the State Farm Arena. And they hold their opponents to just 30% shooting from beyond the arc. Now, total-wise, Atlanta saw 2 out of their last 3 stay under the number, 80% to the under in their last 10. I'm going to lean toward the underdog, Atlanta Hawks, plus 7.5, and the under 236 and a hook. All right. Next matchup, it is going to be Nuggets versus the Heat, 7:30 p.m. Eastern start time in South Beach. The Nuggets are the 4.5-point favorite on the road. Totals 220. Denver's on a 4-game winning streak, 6-2 against the number in their last 8. The Nuggets have also won 6 of 8 on the road this season. They lead the NBA in road offensive field goal percentage. The Nuggets are scoring 119 points a game when they travel, and they're connecting on nearly 40% of their three-pointers. Nikola Jokic is scoring over 25 points per contest, 12 boards and 9 assists for the 6'11 center. The Joker's also averaging 2 steals a game defensively. They are taking on a struggling Miami team who just lost their last 3 straight, and they've gone just 3-7 straight up in their last 10. Now, the Heat also failed to cover the point spread in 7 out of their last 10 ball games as well. And they also rank dead last in the NBA in offensive rebounding. Now, they got a bunch of guys on the injury report right now. Silva, Leonard, Harkless, and Butler, they're all out. Meanwhile, Vincent, Bradley, Dragic, and Hero are questionable. Now, when it comes to the scoring in this one, 6 out of Miami's last 9 did get over the posted number. Denver's 4-0 to the over in their last 4 themselves. The Nuggets also went 7-1 to the over in their last 8 road games. I'm going to lean toward the Denver Nuggets minus 4.5 and the over 220. All right, next contest I have for you, it is going to be Lakers versus the Sixers, 7:30 p.m. Eastern tip-off in Philadelphia. The Lakers are the 2-point favorite on the road here, totals 221. Now, the Lakers are on a 3-game winning streak, 8-1 straight up in their last 9. LA is also a perfect 10-0 straight up on the road this season, and they lead the NBA defensively in points allowed away from home. Now, the Lakers are giving up just 100 points a night when traveling. Very, very good defensively. LeBron James is scoring over 25 points a game along with 8 rebounds and 7 assists. Meanwhile, Anthony Davis is also scoring 22 points a game himself, along with 9 boards and 4 assists. Now, the 6'10 power forward is also averaging 2 blocks a night as well. They're taking on a Philadelphia squad who may have to go to work without Curry, Poirier, Mike Scott, and Joel Embiid, who's actually been listing Joel Embiid. He's been listed as questionable, battling a back injury. Now, the Sixers have failed to cover the number in their last 2 straight, and they also failed to cover in 5 out of their last 8 as well. Philly gives up 113 points per contest at home, and they rank in the bottom 3 defensively in second quarter points allowed. So if you're into kind of prop betting, just kind of keep that particular trend in mind. Now, total-wise, Philly's 4-0 to the over in their last 4 ball games, 80% to the over in their last 10. Meanwhile, the Lakers saw 3 out of their last 6 get over the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward the road team here. Give me the LA Lakers minus 2 and the over 221. All right, next contest, it is going to be Celtics versus the Spurs, 8:30 p.m. East. Now, the Celtics are minus 3.5, totals 225 and a hook. Boston is on a 2-game winning streak. They also went 6-3 against the number in their last 9. The Celtics are in the top 3 in offensive field goal percentage at home, top 5 in shooting the 3-ball in that same category. Boston is draining nearly 41% of their 3-pointers when they travel. Jaylen Brown scoring over 27 a night along with 6 rebounds and 3 assists. The starting guard is also getting 2 steals a night defensively. Meanwhile, Jason Tatum scoring 27 points a game himself, 7 rebounds and 4 assists for the 6'8 forward. Now, the Celtics are also in the top 3 in the NBA in defensive rebounding on the road. They are taking on a San Antonio squad who Yeah, they're taking on a San Antonio. Sorry, a little bit of a brain cramp there. They're taking on a San Antonio squad who lost 5 of 8 at home, and they rank dead last in defensive rebounding on their home court. The Spurs are also allowing their opponents to connect on 41% of their 3 balls at the AT&T Center. Now, total-wise, the Spurs saw 6 out of their last 8 stay under the posted total. They also went 5-3 to the under on their home court. Meanwhile, the Celtics are 5-2 to the under in their last 7 against a Western Conference opponent. I'm going to lean toward the Boston Celtics minus 3.5 and the under 225 and a hook. All right, next contest, it is going to be Mavs versus the Jazz, 9 p.m. Eastern start time in Utah. The Utah Jazz are minus 3.5, numbers 225 flat. Now, the red-hot Utah Jazz are currently on a 9-game winning streak, 9-0 against the spread in all 9 of those victories there. Utah's won 6 of 8 on their home court, and they currently lead the NBA in offensive rebounding. Donovan Mitchell scores over 23 points a game along with 4 rebounds and 5 assists. Meanwhile, Mike Conley scoring 17 points a night himself along with 4 rebounds and 6 assists. The starting point guard is also averaging 2 steals a night as well. They're taking on a Mavs team who's on a 2-game losing streak, and they also dropped 5 out of their last 7. Now, Dallas is in the bottom 3 in shooting the 3-ball, bottom 5 defensively in fourth quarter points allowed on the road. Kleber's still out for the Mavs. Richardson, Powell, and Finney-Smith are questionable. And when it comes to the number in this one, the Mavs are 6-5 to the under when they travel this season. Utah's 5-3 to the under at the Vivint Smart Home Arena. I'm going to lean toward the Utah Jazz minus 3.5 and the under 225. All right, next contest, it is going to be OKC versus Phoenix. And that particular ball game, that is going to tip off at 9 p.m. Eastern start time in the desert. Now, the Suns are minus 6.5 at home. That number is going to move probably by the time you watch this video. I think that number is probably going to be a little bit smaller here. Game might actually come off the board, then come back on. But anyway, Suns are minus 6.5 at home. Totals 222. Phoenix is on a 2-game losing streak. Losers of 5 out of their last 7 as well. They're in the bottom 10 in defensive rebounding. And it looks like they're going to have to go to work here today without Devin Booker, Dario Saric, and Damian Jones. The Arizona Republic reported that Booker was out here today. So that's going to explain kind of my rationale for that number shrinking. But anyway, the Suns are taking on an OKC squad who successfully covered the number in their last 2 straight. And they also find themselves 70% against the spread away from home this season. OKC's in the top 3 in defensive 3-point percentage on the road. They're also in the top 3 in third quarter points allowed on the road as well. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scoring 22 points a game along with 5 rebounds and 6 assists. Meanwhile, Lou Dort is also scoring 13 a game along with 4 rebounds a night himself. Now, total-wise, Phoenix's last 2 straight both got over the posted number, 6-3 to the over in their last 9. Meanwhile, OKC went 5-1 to the over in their last 6 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the OKC Thunder plus 6.5 and the over 222. With that, we're going to dive into our next matchup. It is going to be Wizards versus the Pelicans, 9 p.m. Eastern start time in New Orleans. The Pels are minus 8 at home, totals 228.5. Now, as bad as Washington is, the Pels are nowhere near good enough right now to be laying 8 points, in my humble opinion. That's a really big number for a team that has been playing the caliber of basketball that they have. New Orleans is on a 3-game losing streak, and they went just 1-8 straight up in their last 9. Now, the Pels are dead last in the NBA in shooting the 3-ball at home, and they find themselves scoring just 108 points a game. Now, they're taking on a Washington team who's been riddled with COVID. That's kind of why they're catching so many points in this spot here. Having said that, though, we're still looking at a Wizards team. They can score. They're in the top 3 in scoring, and they also make 41% of their 3 balls on the road. Washington also successfully covered the point spread in 5 out of their last 8. Now, Bradley Beal scoring nearly 35 points a night for the Wizards, 5 rebounds and 5 assists for the 6'3 shooting guard. I don't know what he was doing last night on the bench. He was like praying or something. I don't know what he was doing. He was probably just so dejected out of all the losses. But Russell Westbrook, he's scoring over 18 a game himself, 10 boards and 10 assists for the multi-time All-Star. like I said, as much as they've been losing, these guys can put points on the board. And when it comes to the number, Washington is 6-3 to the over in their last 9. Pels are 4-1 to the over on their home court. I'm going to lean toward the Washington Wizards +8 and the over 228.5. And with that, we are going to dive into our next and final matchup for the show. T-Wolves, Warriors, 10 p.m. East. The Warriors are -7.5, totals 228. If you like the Minnesota Timberwolves in an upset on the road here, they're +265 for some money line cash. Now, the T-Wolves have lost 8 out of their last 10 ball games, just 1-6 straight up on the road this season as well. The T-Wolves are dead last in road offensive field goal percentage, and they also rank dead last defensively in points allowed away from home. Minnesota's giving up 123 points a game when they travel. Karl Anthony Towns is still out. Jarrett Culver's also out. And D'Angelo Russell is questionable with a quad injury. Now they're taking on a Golden State team who's won 3 out of their last 5 themselves. And they also find themselves winning 60% of their ball games at home. The Warriors are in the top 10 in home scoring, and they actually lead the association in defensive field goal percentage at home as well. Steph Curry scoring over 28 points a game for Golden State, 6 rebounds and 6 assists for the NBA champion. Meanwhile, Andrew Wiggins is scoring 18 a night along with 5 boards and a couple assists as well. Total-wise, Golden State is 4-1 at the over in their last 5. Minnesota went 60% to the over in their last 10. I'm going to lean toward the Golden State Warriors -7.5 and the over 228. With that, guys, we are going to dive into our quick pick recap, once again brought to you by patreon.com/BrockPage, where we are 2-0 in our last 2 daily best plays on that website. 4-1 straight up in our last 5 picks in that same category. I like the Pacers +2, under 218.5. Cavaliers -3, over 215. I'm leaning toward the Orlando Magic -1, under 221. Raptors +6.5, under 223 and a hook. I like the Hawks +7.5, under 236 and a hook. I also like the Nuggets -4.5, over 220. I'm leaning toward the Lakers -2, over 221. Celtics -3.5, under 225.5. I'm also leaning toward the Jazz -3 and a hook, under 225. I like the OKC Thunder +6.5, over 222. I'm leaning toward Washington +8, over 228.5. And before I give you our next and final free picks for the show, one final reminder that you can access today's daily best play on Patreon for just $1.99 by clicking the link in the description section below. Please feel free to smash the thumbs up button if you enjoyed today's video. You can also subscribe right now if you haven't done so already. I'm going to lean toward the Golden State Warriors -7.5 and the over 228. And with that, guys, we are going to dive into some shout-outs here to our top 10 YouTube commenters over the past couple of days or so. Shout out to Brian Resnikoff, Dory Tos, DJ Wavy, Dylan Hoffman, Scott Kaler, Kirill Salachoff, Johnny M, D Nice, Marco Blanco, and last but certainly not least, got to give a shout out to my man, Curtis Harper. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on Patreon. If you guys decide to get a package here today, just keep in mind we'll bill you the day you sign up, and then the first of every month following that. Also keep in mind, guys, all the cheaper memberships are included with your purchase here today. So, for example, if you get the $4.99 package, all the cheaper memberships are included with your purchase. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, happy Wednesday to you. Happy hump day to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.